Klarna, Affirm, Afterpay, Sezzle. Every one of them says the same thing. It is just a different way to pay. 4 easy installments, 0 interest, no catch. Here is what I want to tell you. I sit in the rooms where these companies present to investors. There is a slide. It explains exactly what their product does to consumer psychology. They are very proud of it. Klarna's pitch deck reads like a psychology textbook they printed on company letterhead. Here is what is on that slide. In 1998, 2 researchers at MIT published a paper that every fintech product team has read. Their central finding: paying for something hurts. Not metaphorically, there is a measurable psychological response they called the pain of paying, and it acts as a natural brake on spending. Cash, pain peaks right there, you felt the money leave. Card drops a little, defer the payment entirely. Pain drops further, maybe to 0. The buy now, pay later industry was built on this. It is in their internal research, it is in the pitch decks. I have seen them. Here is what using these products actually does to your spending. A 2025 study from the Central Bank of Ireland found that access to buy now, pay later makes you 22% more likely to spend on a discretionary purchase. There is a second number. The expectation of future access, not even using it, just knowing you can, increases your current debit card spending by 3.1%. Your brain is already factoring it in before you have opened the app. 2/3 of users say they spent more than they intended. Self-reported, these are people who know they did it. I have watched this in client data. The behavioral pattern is the same at every income level. The mechanism does not care about income. It cares that the payment is deferred. Once the pain is gone, the break is gone. I know someone who ran this pattern. Mid-20s, solid job, 6 buy now, pay later apps on his phone, each payment small enough that it did not feel like a decision. Here is the part they do not put on the slide. The stack of small payments adds up to something real, and when you cannot pay, these companies do not send a letter. We will come back to that. In 2022, Stanford published a paper using banking records on 10.6 million U.S. consumers. New users incurred 4% more overdraft charges, 2.3% more credit card late fees. Their credit card interest was 1.1% higher. In our models, that is a credit risk signal. In practice, it is a debt cascade. Defer a payment. Money feels gone. Spend again. Actual payment hits something else. This is the banking records of 10 million people. I could have told you that before breakfast. Let me tell you how Klarna makes money, because most people assume they make it from the consumer. They mostly do not. Klarna charges merchants between 1.5 and 6% per transaction, significantly higher than standard card fees. Merchants pay willingly because it increases cart completion and average order value. I have been in rooms where this was presented. The slide is clear. You are not the customer. Your psychology is the product they are selling to Levi's and Sephora and whatever else has that button at checkout. That is not a hot take. That is slide 4. And we move on. In 2025, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau withdrew its proposed rule on buy now, pay later, called it procedurally defective. There are now 335 million of these loans originated annually in the U.S., $45 billion, and the regulatory framework for them is at the federal level, essentially optional. Traditional credit cards have mandatory disclosures, required APR calculations. Buy now, pay later has none of that in most jurisdictions. From inside a compliance function, you know what no regulation required means for a product team. It means the mechanism runs without guardrails. The research says salient risk disclosures improve understanding of the risks. They do not significantly affect usage or spending. People read the warning. They keep spending. The mechanism runs below the level of disclosure. My friend could not pay. The apps did not send a letter. They called his mother. They called his manager at work. These companies had collected his contact list, his employment details, his references, all of it in the sign-up flow, and when the payment stopped, they used it. In a compliance memo, that is a collection strategy. In my friend's life, it was a phone call to his manager. In a market with functioning consumer credit regulation, that call is illegal. In the space these apps operate, there are no such rules. The regulatory gap is not an abstract policy problem. It is a specific phone call to a specific person's manager. I want to be precise. I am not saying buy now, pay later is always a bad decision. Splitting a necessary purchase when the cash is in your account is fine. The math is the math. What I am saying, every one of these products was designed deliberately, with academic research behind it, to reduce the psychological cost of the transaction at the moment you are making it, not to make it cheaper, to make it feel cheaper. I know how that design process works. I have seen the research cited in product briefs. The mechanism is not hidden. It is just boring, which turns out to be the best hiding place. The people who built the button knew exactly what it does. I know that because I have seen what knowing looks like. Every time you see Pay in 4, you're looking at an interface built on 30 years of academic research into how to reduce the moment you feel money leave your hands. They built the button knowing what it does. The question is whether you want to use it knowing the same thing.